I really want to talk about where we are as a nation. A nation where someone who is expressing his views, debating college kids, always respectfully, becomes framed by the SPLC, by the ADL, by the Democrat politicians as a hateful, bigot, fascist, Nazi, because they want to permeate the minds of very sick people that will do the bidding of taking out their opponents for them and give them plausible deniability, which is exactly, of course, what happened to Charlie Kirk. You have these tormented, sick individuals that are easily manipulable, and you know that with a certain amount of gas that you pour upon the fire of the mind, and they use these tapioca brains and reprogram them such that their political opponent deserves to be taken out. And many people, thousands of people on the left celebrated the assassination, the cold-blooded murder in front of the man's children. So where do we go as a nation from here when they continue to go after, for example, Stephen Miller, with Gavin Newsom calling him a fascist? After all this has happened, you have to assume that they're doing so intentionally because it benefits them politically to have their opponents, A, taken out, and B, to have a permanently divided electorate that will never be able to see eye to eye because of the programming that they're receiving, that the other side is literally Hitler, literally the fascists, and a leading light of our republic, a possible future president, gets taken out in absolute cold blood, and then the demonstrations celebrating such. Where do we go as a nation? I cannot talk to these people. I have tried on Facebook to make sense of people that were justifying the assassination by way of the fact that Charlie Kirk was a proponent of the Second Amendment, so he got what he asked for. He got what he wanted. This is the framing that they gave it. And I have no idea, because this is the quote-unquote namaste, peace, love, and understanding yoga crowd that I'm referring to right now. And some other people that claim to be moral and virtuous and accepting, and they celebrate or rationalize the murder. Again, I'm completely befuddled as an American because I never have experienced this before. For people that say it was worse in the 1960s, I don't know. I wasn't alive back then, but I don't think so. I don't think that there was such an avid hatred of the other side. I don't believe that everybody was siloed into one side or the other based on the social media consumption that they undergo, which essentially gives them more of what they're interested in and cements one side in their mind so that they're completely unable to see the other. And then I asked whether or not I am, whether or not you guys out there watching, whether or not we're siloed. And I have to understand, as I have been made to, that conservatives, libertarians, right of center people can explain the left's position much better than they can. I truly believe that their side has actively siloed them. And this is with the participation of the social media companies that were essentially threatened from 2020 onwards if they did not censor any other viewpoint about COVID, about the elections, about January 6th, to the point where I just received a text message from a longtime friend who is kind of pretty far left, but not completely all the way there, about how police officers were killed on January 6th. This is something that the Democrats repeated during the impeachment trials again and again and again, despite the fact that they knew it wasn't true, that Brian Sicknick, for example, died several days later of a stroke, not from being struck in the head with a fire extinguisher, as was claimed. These people are intentionally lying because it achieves them political gain, and it leaves us as a nation completely separated, with one side battling the other. And this exactly goes to China's desire to undermine the U.S. without firing a single shot and to destroy us from within by pouring the acid of division, by spreading all of these lies that permeate these tapioca heads' minds, and allow somebody who's actually trying to bridge the gap, trying to debate with the other side, and to have him murdered with plausible deniability that that wasn't what they wanted. which I do think that they did. You see AOC justifying it in Congress. You see Ilhan Omar. You see all of the other Democrat politicians. And when Luigi Mangione slaughtered in cold blood the man from Nebraska who worked his way up into the executive position with United Healthcare, shooting him in the back, he's celebrated. He is celebrated, and not one politician leading on the left actively declared that it was an abomination that happened. They did not condemn it. I'm talking about everything from Tim Walz to AOC, Pelosi, to Joe Biden's ice cream cone. Not one leading Democrat politician condemned that horrific murder. And today, you have him celebrated. You have murals of Mangione all over and people declaring that they want to marry him. And then you create the environment where they see benefit in going out and attempting to murder somebody. Benefit because you're going to be lionized if you get shot. You're going to be heralded as a hero, which is what many of these people that cannot achieve significance on an internal basis desire it externally and what they're after. So where do we go as a society when, if you believe, and leave it in the comments section if you think I'm correct, that this is the current state of affairs within the United States and the psychology of the left? I don't know how to communicate with these people. They block me when I attempt to. They denigrate my arguments. And if you go after them and you engage with them with a smile, with understanding, with trying to come to a place of mutual accord like Charlie Kirk did, then they slaughter you because you're too effective. It is, at this point, I consider to be preparation if we're not already in a civil war. And that's part of the reason, because I kind of predicted this, that I am not living in America, despite the fact that my wife's suggesting recently that we go back before the presidential election. I said, we ain't doing that. Things are going to get weird there. And now you have Portland, where the communist police are actively supporting Antifa and arresting reporters for doing their job and not arresting Antifa when they hit Katie Davenport in the face with a flagpole. And she points out to the police her attacker. They do not arrest these people, but they do arrest the journalists like Nick Sorter for reporting. There's not much that you can do. We are in a state of civil strife, if not civil war. Please leave me your opinions in the comments section. Peace out.